In this video, we will be discussing using nets to calculate surface area. We will be focusing on the relationship between nets and surface area. By the end of this video, you will be able to calculate the surface area of a 3D figure. So first, let's talk about what surface area is. So the total area of the surface of a three-dimensional object is the definition of surface area. So it is very similar to finding the area of composite figures. And again, we're going to label, or the label for surface area is square units because we are still measuring area. Let's take a look at this 3D shape. So I'm going to sketch out its net. And again, I've got my rectangles here. And then I also have my bases here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to label the measurements for these different faces. So if you notice here is 10, that means this part is also 10. So if I look here, this is 10, that means this is 10. And if these two are 10, that means all of these lines or all of these edges are also 10 units. So now if I take a look at this is 6 units. That means this is 6 units. And that means this is 6 units. So this edge is 6 units. This edge is 6 units. This edge is 6 units. And this edge is 6 units because those are the ones that are going to be touching, the ones that are going to be connecting. And then my last one here, when I take a look at that, this edge is 5 units. That means this edge is 5 units. That means this edge is 5 units as well. So when I look here, all of these, this one is 5 units, 5 units, 5 units, and kind of all the way through here. Now, because these two touch and connect, that means both of these are 5. Same thing with over here. So this one's 5. And same thing here because of these two. And these two here are also 5. So now I just go through and I figure out my area of each part. So as I do that, I need to know my area formula. Well, my area formula for rectangles and squares is area equals base times height. And when I substitute my measurements in there, we're going to do these first. And so that would be area equals, the first one is here, which is 10 times 5. And so that gives me the area for one of those would be 50 units squared. But I have 2 of those shapes. And so that would give me 2 here. And then 2 of those would give me 100 units squared. Okay, so now let's take a look at my next shape here. So that one is going to be right here. So again, area equals base times height. And in this case, area is 10 multiplied by 6. That gives me 60 units squared. And again, I have 2 of those. So if I double 60, that gives me 120 units squared for the total amount. And then my last shape is here on the side here. So again, my area is base times height. And in this case, that is going to be 6 multiplied by 5. So that gives me 30 units squared. And again, I have 2 of those shapes. So if I double 30, that gives me 60 units squared. And now my total area would be 100 plus 120 plus 60 gives me a grand total of 280 units squared for my surface area of this 3D figure. Looking at this 3D shape, I'm going to sketch out my net. So I start off with my bottom face. And then here would be the back. And here would kind of be the front. And then again, the 2 bases, which are triangles. So here's one triangle, and here is the other triangle. And we'll say that this one is the kind of the left side, and this one's more of the right side. Now we need to get our measurements. And so when we take a look here, right here we have 12 centimeters. So that means this line back here, or this edge back here, is also 12. And that means this one up here is also 12. So if I start here with 12 here, that means this is also 12. That's also 12. And this is also 12. If I look at the next measurement here, we have 4 centimeters here. That means this side is also 4 centimeters. So here's 4, and here's 4. And now we take a look at another measurement. So this is 7, and that means this is 7, this is 7, and this is 7. So on here, we've got 7 here, and 7 here, and that means this is 7 because these two are connecting. This is also 7 because these two are connecting, and the same thing over here. This is 7 because that's 7. And this one is 7, and this one is 7. Now, on this one, it gives me one more measurement. And this measurement here is the 6 centimeters here. What that is telling me is that the height of this triangle is 6. And that means the height of this triangle is also 6. And I need that height when I find the area of the triangles. So now let's find our surface area. So my first one is, I'm going to take a look at this one right here and this one right here. So I'm going to do the front and the back. So I'm going to say F and B. And again, area for rectangles is base times height. So this area would be 12 multiplied by 7. So that would give me a total of 84. And again, this one says centimeters, so it'd be centimeters squared. But I have 2 of them. So I'm going to take 84 times 2 and get a total of 168 centimeters squared. Now, if I look at the bottom face, again, that's a rectangle. So I'd have area equals base times height. And in this case, my area is 12 multiplied by 4. And that gives me a total of 48 centimeters squared. But there's only one of them, so I don't have to double that. I can just leave it as 48. And then my bases, which in this case are triangles, and an area for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So that gives me 1/2 multiplied by 4 multiplied by, I have to be careful here because I need my height, which is the 6. And that gives me a total of 12 centimeters squared. But then I have to double that because I've got 2 of them. So that then I have 24 centimeters squared. When I add 168 plus 48 plus 24, that gives me a grand total of 240 centimeters squared for my surface area of this 3D object. Let's take a look at this 3D object. And this one is a pyramid versus a prism, which we've been working with before, but we're going to do it exactly the same way. So again, I need to sketch out my net. So here I have my base, which is a square. And then I have my rectangle, or excuse me, my triangles that are my sides. And now I have to label my different edges. So again, this edge right here is 12 inches. And this edge right here is 12 inches. So that's what tells me it's a square because both of those are the same. So that means this is 12, this is 12, this is 12, and this is 12. And my height for my triangles is right here. And so the height of this one is 15. The height of this one is 15. The height of this one is 15. And the height of this one is 15. And I really don't need to know what the sides of my triangles measure because when I'm looking for area, I have all the information that I need. I just need my height and my base. So now let's use that information and calculate my surface area. So if I look at the base, I know that that's a square, so it's area equals base times height. So that is area equals 12 multiplied by 12. And that gives me 144, and again, the label is inches squared. I only have one of them, so I don't need to do any more with that. And now if I do my sides, my sides are triangles, so that's area equals 1/2 base times height. And so that gives me 1/2. My base is 12 and my height is 15. So when I work all of that out, that gives me 90 inches squared. But then I need to multiply that by 4, and that would give me 360 inches squared. And then I take my 144 plus 360, and that would give me a total of 504 inches squared for my total surface area of this pyramid.